it is I, your favorite podcaster. I'm totally kidding. Hi, it's Grace, and I am back with a whole new podcast episode. I did my makeup, but I did dark blush. So guys, I only typically do red blush in like the fall, or if I'm wearing like red, something that needs an accent. But I was feeling frisky, so I used my red blush from Rare Beauty, but it's the original blush she came out with that is like really dark if you put too much. So I don't know if it's too dark or not, but I also have on the Charlotte Tilbury Champagne highlighter that I kind of forgot about, and then I just found it in my makeup bag, and it's literally magical, and I don't know why I forgot about it. So all this to say, I don't know if my makeup looks good, if it looks bad, if it's just having a normal day. So if you're watching this on the YouTube, I may look like a clown. Don't worry, I actually am a clown, so it's fine. Like, it's just part of the aesthetic at this point. And I have a Ring camera on my bunnies, and it goes off like all day. And the dogs are about to have a fight. This is just very chaotic. We're off to a chaotic start. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump on into the episode. Today we are talking about villain eras. I have entered my villain era. She is in full swing. I want to talk about what they are, what they mean, why you should also be in one, and what it's been like for me to enter one. But I want to start doing life updates because I feel like I don't do life updates and they sound very like impersonal because I just jump on in and my episodes end up being really short, and I couldn't figure out why my episodes are so short. Anyway, all of the solo podcasters that I listen to do life updates, and that's why their episodes are full length and mine are so much shorter. Not so much, but it's definitely because the life update is missing, like it's pretty obvious. And I also want you guys to like feel like we're besties and like actually like a community. So I'm gonna tell you what's up, and then like you can also tell me what's up. You can DM me, we can become actual besties and talk about it on the phone. Like whatever you're feeling, I'm down. But if you aren't like a life updates person, just skip through it. If you are, girly, we have some tea. Where to start? Oh, literally the elephant in the room. Quite literally. I am in my bedroom, if you can't tell, but I'm like facing a different direction. It's because the lighting's better this way. But we moved yesterday. So Josh and I actually moved to this house in April, and we have been paying like double rent and slowly moving our stuff over from our like college houses over like by campus. Well, our leases ends for our college houses on the 26th, so that's Tuesday. So we've been like frantically moving everything that's left. So we pretty much just had like the big stuff, like the bed frames and stuff like that. And then anything we were too lazy to move before. So it's been a crazy past couple of days. We have so much stuff in our house and now we have to organize it. But I literally am moved out of my college house, which is like crazy. It's very surreal. I don't know how to feel about it because like I loved that house. I had so much self-growth there. I also, me and the dogs are gonna need to have like we're gonna have to fight this out. Let me text Josh. I'm gonna have him get the dogs before I get in a tussle with them. So Josh has Luna and I have Evie now. So Evie is hopefully gonna just lay down. Let's see. Where was I? Oh yeah, so moving out of the college house was like a big deal because like that's where I pretty much grew up. Like that's where I met Josh, that's where I made pretty much all of my friends, that's where me and my best friend lived for like years. Yeah, I lived there for 2 years. You know, like so many of my like adult memories were there, so it's just like really bittersweet to be like moving on. But I also like moving slowly was really hard for me because I felt like I had one foot in the past and one foot in the future, and like I couldn't really move on because I still had all these things. But like I have a Volkswagen Jetta, so a little itty bitty car, and I was just slowly moving stuff, so it's not like I could just move everything in one day. So we finally rented a U-Haul, and I don't know, it feels good. Like I can grieve and move on if I even need to grieve. I don't know, I'll be fine, but like I can actually move on and I don't have anything holding me back now, if that makes sense. So I'm really excited for what the future holds. Obviously this podcast is a big part of that. And then the villain era, which I'll get into, is a big part of that. I don't know, I feel good. I feel sad, but I also feel good. So I don't know, we'll see how I feel later, but I'm good right now. I'm really motivated. I'm decorating the house. I'm trying to go through all of the moving stuff. I'm freaking exhausted, but I'm good. Are there any other life? Oh, so we are hopefully, fingers crossed, getting tickets to go see MGK in Cleveland. We don't have them yet, but we are supposed to get them. Like, we have someone who's hopefully gonna get them for us, and I really hope that it works out, because it'd be fun to just go. We both love MGK. I think I've mentioned that before on the podcast. And Trippie Red's also gonna be a guest person there, guest artist, and Josh really likes him, so we're hopefully gonna go and then just like have a night. And yeah, we can go to like MGK's cafe, because I've been wanting to go and get the aesthetics. But things are good, you know, things are exciting. I'm scared of uncertainty. I'm like terrified of uncertainty, and I think that's something we're gonna break down in this podcast eventually, once I like kind of can get a grasp on it and understand what's gonna help it. But not knowing like what the future holds is actually very terrifying to me, and that's a big thing that I'm trying to work through right now. And I've touched on it briefly, like talking about how there's goals, and like how when you're no longer in school you don't have clear-cut goals, and so it's really hard, and that's something that I've been working through. But yeah, I don't know, that's really just what I've been working through. I've been trying to really be smart about like doing things the healthy way when it comes to like moving on and like getting into a career that I'm excited about and actually passionate about. So I've been trying to like meditate and take time to just unwind and go outside with the animals and just do things that make me happy, so that I am making sure to feed my soul and give it what it needs, so that I can make good decisions for myself. So if you're in a similar headspace, I can do something all about self-concept and how to improve yourself. Well, I did a video on how to improve your self-concept, but like a more spiritual take on it, because I kind of left out the whole spiritual side, because not all people, there Evie goes, not all people are like super interested in that spiritual side. But if you want me to talk more about like meditating and, you know, crystals and how to just like tune into your, oh, hi Evie, how to just like align with yourself and become centered from a spiritual standpoint, I would be happy to do that. I just don't want to do it if no one is really interested in that, because I know that that's something that can be very you know, like a, what's the word, like a triggering topic. Like some people, especially I'm from the Bible Belt, so like you know, some people are really into it, some people despise it, and I just don't want to push any buttons. But if it's something you guys want to talk about, just let me know. But it's something that I've been really working on right now and trying to like kind of get right with before I try and do anything else. Because if I am not happy internally, if anyone isn't happy internally and doesn't feel good internally, then they can't expect to feel good externally. Yeah, that's really what I've been up to, and that just leads right into villain era. So how I kind of structured this is I'm going to talk about what a villain era is, and I'm going to talk about why I'm in one, and then I'm going to talk about my experience, and then I'm going to talk about why you should also consider going into a villain era. I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you probably won't regret it. That's everything personal wise, so let's just jump into a villain era. So I need to stop saying so and so much. I have realized that through editing my podcast. The amount of so's and I edit out is kind of horrifying, but it's fine. Anyway, very similar to what a that girl is, a villain era is something that just means something different to everybody. So like my version of that girl is very different from what your version might be. Well, my version of what a villain era is possibly different than what your version is. But I'm gonna talk through like different versions, and then I'm gonna just kind of explain like how you can figure out what villain era is quote unquote best for you, and go from there. So I looked it up on good old Urban Dictionary, and I didn't know if people still used Urban Dictionary, not me stuttering, but it looks like they did. And there's two very different definitions that are on here that I think are both very valid of what people perceive a villain era to be. So I'm gonna read them both, and like I said, it's kind of up to you what you need. I've had one villain era I've gone through, and now I'm going through a different villain era, and I did different things, and I'll break those down. And both of them I think were very healing for me. So like I said, it's different based on what you need. So the first one is when you are in an extra mischievous stage and doing crazy fun things, especially at parties. often occurs after a breakup or glow up. So this is when you just stop putting so much pressure on yourself and let yourself loose, let yourself have fun, stop putting so much emphasis on responsibilities. And of course I'm saying this with a grain of salt. Don't be reckless and like ruin your chances of, you know, don't let your grades tank or like break up with your boyfriend because you want to party if you actually like them. Evie is just unhinged right now. I'm not saying to be reckless, like, so my first villain era, it was like, I've talked about before, I call it a bender, but honestly a more accurate term would be a villain era. My first villain era, like I said, it was kind of like a bender. I was going out partying like at least 3 nights a week, which doesn't really sound that much if you're a big partier, but to someone who like didn't party for years and was kind of scared of alcohol, like, you know, it was very like raised in a very Christian home, like this was a lot for me. So I you know, I was going out 3 nights a week, I was drinking, I started vaping. I never got addicted to it, but I did it from time to time. And you know, I'm not condoning drinking alcohol, I'm not condoning vaping or anything like that, but you know, what I'm saying is I was trying new things. I'm not saying things are good or bad, I'm just saying that I was trying new things. The main point is that I was putting myself out there, I was making friends, I was so happy. I was going to the gym 5 days a week, and with that I had to I cut off a lot of people. There were a lot of toxic relationships in my life and I cut them off. I ended up having to cut off more toxic relationships later down the road, but in that era I really was doing what was best for me, and I kind of grew a backbone in that time. And I have always been so hard on myself. I was raised to have, like, there's no room to like fuck up, excuse my language. Like, straight A's was just expected. I wasn't allowed to get less than a straight A, and like it wasn't like I got a present or like I was rewarded for getting straight A's, because that's just what I did. And I'm not saying I had bad parents by like any means, it's just their expectations for me were very high because I typically performed very high. So they didn't feel the need to like celebrate my, like, I don't know, celebrate my wins, because they just expected it. Whereas like with other people, if you get straight A's, you typically get like a reward or something, like a new phone or something like that. Like, that just didn't happen. Again, not that that's a bad thing, but it just kind of made it so that in my mind, I don't know what's gonna happen if I don't perform at such a high level and if I don't have these high standards, because it was just not allowed. Like, there was no option but to do crazy well in everything and exceed in everything. So it was really, really hard for me for a long time to do things like stay out late, because what about school if I'm not like doing my best? Like, if I go out on a Thursday night and I have an 8 a.m. on Friday, what if I don't have like makeup done and like my hair ready, like, and I'm not there like super present, ready to go, like answering all the questions the professor asked? Like, what is gonna happen? My world will just like explode right then and there. That was the mindset I had. So it was really, really good for me to let loose a little bit. And like I said, it's not like I became an alcoholic, like I was drinking at parties. It was very controlled and moderated. I think that if my grades had suffered, then that would be another situation. Like, the thing about a villain era is that it's ultimately what's best for you. You're not gonna like hurt yourself in any super detrimental way. So as long as my grades stayed up, going out and having a drink with my friends and like going to the gym 5 days a week and cutting toxic people off and, you know, being a little bit more rambunctious was really good for me. Even though like the community I grew up in, like a lot of people excommunicated me when they saw that I was quote unquote partying, because that's in their eyes against the Bible. Or, you know, I think I got like 3 tattoos. I got my first big tattoo in that time period as well. I mean, I was just having the time of my life, and like having to accept that these people I grew up with are not actually good people because they're literally cutting me off over something like a tattoo, like that was really hard for me. And understanding that like in my opinion, not to get religious, but in my opinion, you know, don't throw stones when you live in a glass house. Like, I don't think that me getting a small tattoo or me getting a piercing is gonna keep me from getting into heaven. And if someone wants to go as far as to cut me off because of that, or, you know, I'm drinking alcohol, I was over the age of 21, so it's like, it's illegal. I'm not gonna go to hell for drinking a couple drinks like with my friends. And for a long time, that was the mindset I had. So understanding that if someone is genuinely willing to cut me off because I was having a couple drinks and they genuinely thought I was going to hell and not even willing to talk it out with me after we've had friendships for years, I had to learn to understand that that was an internal issue they were battling and it had nothing to do with me. So I think it was really hard to deconstruct this idea in my head that, you know, I grew up around all these Christians and they were supposed to be like these super great loving people, and when they weren't, like, it's okay to cut them off. And I'm not a sinful, horrible person because of that. Not to get super religious, but this was just some of the things I learned in my first villain era. So it was a little bit more of a party phase. But I mean, I learned to rely on myself. I became so confident because I was doing things like self-care nights. I was like making sure to put spray tan on twice a week, and like, that may sound like a small thing, but if that fucking boosts my confidence like 100%, then like, why not do it? Like, little things like if you getting your nails done once a month makes you feel like a badass bitch who can take on the world, then why not? Like, and those were things that I had always been told, like, the outward appearance is like it's shallow to care about that, or it's selfish to care about that. So like deconstructing that view and saying, look, if doing this makes me perform better, makes me feel like a better human being, puts me in a better mindset so that I can help the others around me and feel good about myself, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. It's not sinful, it's not selfish, it's self-care. Self-care ain't selfish, baby. So doing things like that, like, I don't understand like why that was so hard for me. Well, I do, because, you know, the way I was raised, not my family again, but like more of like the school and church and that community. But that was my first villain era. So that party phase, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, a party phase isn't bad in moderation. Doing like reckless, quote unquote, things isn't bad in moderation, as long as you're not doing anything super detrimental for like the rest of your life. Like, don't like burn bridges with your family just because you felt like you wanted to on a Thursday night. Like, if you have valid reasons and they're toxic, by all means send it, but don't just do it for funsies, you know what I'm saying? So the second definition of a villain era, which is the one that I'm currently in, as you guys know, I am a huge people pleaser. This is not a secret. She is a huge people pleaser. It's really hard for me. So this definition says, when you're tired of being a pushover to others and finally start to say no. So it's putting your foot down, learning to say no, you know. This is a part of what I'm doing in my second villain era. I think that I'm learning the balance between selfish and selfless, because like I mentioned, my whole life I was taught to be selfless. You're not allowed to be selfish at all. Selfish is a dirty word. Like, you're not allowed to do that. But being selfish to a certain degree is just self-preservation. Like, if you are mentally not okay and you need to take a night and someone asks you to help them move or something like that, but you are mentally drained and you need to take a night, don't say yes. It's not the end of the world. They're not gonna hate you. You're taking care of yourself. And I think that for a very long time, I don't even know if I talked about this on my podcast yet, but it's something that I've really just been talking to my family about. I have felt like when I look back on my life for the past 23 years, everything that I've done is because everybody else told me to. Like, did I enjoy getting my college degree? Yes, I loved it. You know, obviously I'm sad about leaving college, and I'm grateful for that extra year where I got my master's, but I was miserable. Like, the only reason I got my master's is because everybody else told me to. 100%. I mean, I knew I was gonna get a master's in some way, like I knew, but I didn't know what it was gonna be in. And getting an MBA, like, it, like, now that I have it, it's great because it makes me more marketable, but it, like, it's not what I want to do. Like, I don't want to go into corporate. And so why did I do that? Because everybody else told me to. Like, they want me to, like, people want me to, like, go into corporate and, like, have, like, a 9 to 5, which I've talked about is, like, the freaking bane of my existence. So basically, I mean, it's not that I didn't enjoy doing those things, but it's the motive behind them. Like, I encourage you to think about, like, dating, like, people you've dated, or moving into certain cities or houses, or going to college, or, you know, even having kids, and think about, did I do this because I wanted to and it's helping me reach that dream I've always had, or that overarching goal that I want to get to? Or did I do this because my mom told me to, or my partner told me to, or my best friend said it was a good idea? You know, things like that. Because you'll be shocked when you, like, get to the bottom of it. So I think that this second villain era is about deconstructing everything that I've done in 23 years and separating the things that were my true intentions, that were actually gonna help me push forward the goals I have, and separating that from the things that I did because everybody else wanted me to, and it clouded my judgment. And it's been really hard. Like, I mean, I'm going through a second wave of, well, I guess this would be my third wave of cutting out toxic people, because there's just a lot of people in my life that are not here for the right reasons. And I think that for a long time, and I'm sure you can relate to this, I kept them around because I wanted them to be like I would rather have people in my life that are, like, shitty people than just, like, not have anybody. But honestly, since entering my villain era, again, excuse my language, I'm just really on one today. I don't give a fuck. I would rather be alone than have someone in my life who is shitty. Like, I don't give a single fuck. If you are not adding value, if you are actually decreasing the serotonin, if you have ulterior motives, I was about to say exterior motives, ulterior motives, if you're toxic, then I don't want you around, and I'm not gonna let you continue to be around. Ooh. And I think that's part of this villain era, is just not taking bullshit. Like, no more bullshit. Like, we're good, get the fuck out, bye. Like, and so basically those are what my two eras have been. And like I mentioned, they can be very different. I think in a broader sense, what a villain era is it's just getting the things done that you need to do for yourself to be happy moving forward. So whatever that is, if that, you know, being selfish and cutting people out, or quitting your job and finding a career that's more fulfilling, or moving out and getting done with your toxic relationship, just being done with any bullshit and wiping the slate clean and moving forward. I don't think it's necessarily like a villain thing to do, but I think it's called that because you're always going to be a villain in someone's story, and you're going to have to probably cut some ties, and people are probably going to see you as the villain in some way. Like in my first situation, it was the people who I grew up with that are very, very Christian, who looked at me and they were like, oh, she's going to hell. Like, she is the villain. And in my situation now, it's probably the people who may take it a little too personally, like the decisions I make. I think every decision you make is going to affect somebody else, in some way. And I'm not saying I majorly have screwed anyone in any way, but I mean, even if I minorly inconvenience someone, they may view me as a villain in some way when I was just doing what was best for me. Basically, being a villain is having main character energy and just embodying that and doing what you need to do to get on your life path to fulfill what you were meant to put on this earth to do. Because like, you're gonna have to step on some toes to do that, and people typically don't like it when you step on their toes. So I think I covered my experience. Why I'm in one, I think I kind of covered that, but basically I think it's just I got to a point, and last time was the same way. I got to a point where I could not continue to do something that was making me so unhappy. So I didn't really have another choice. So that's really both ways how I felt. Like, I felt backed into a corner, and like I was either gonna have to continue to be miserable and unhappy, or I could make some changes, unless it, you know, regardless of if it hurt some people's feelings or whatever it may be. So that being said, I want to talk about why you should be in a villain era. Sis, enough about me. I mean, if you feel like there's something just like I think that one way that I knew is I felt like I hit a wall, or I hit a ceiling, and like I couldn't go any higher in the situation I was in. So I had to either be okay with not going any higher, or I had to, you know, bust through that ceiling and make some changes. So there were things holding me back that I had to stop, you know, to get to that point. So if you feel like you've hit a wall and you can't go any further unless you make some changes, but they make you feel uncomfy, or you don't want to hurt someone's feelings, or maybe you need to end a relationship, or your best friend's very toxic and, you know, you feel like you need to end that relationship but you don't want to, like, it's time. Like, you need to enter your villain era, and it sucks. Trust me, girl, it's not easy. But once you get over that initial hump, like, you're gonna be so excited. It's exciting, it's invigorating. It's a good time because you're genuinely just thinking about what is gonna help me get to that goal. And it doesn't mean that you're not kind. It doesn't mean you're not empathetic. It doesn't mean that you don't still do things to help other people. It just means that you question your motives more, and you do things that make your heart happy, and you care a little bit less about what everybody thinks. Or you're mean, you just say gung-ho and you no longer care what anyone thinks at all, and it's, you know, just the Wild West out here, and we just freaking cut people off left and right, like bang bang. That being said, like, it's very emotional. Like, people don't realize how emotional it is. So I do want to prepare you. You're gonna have to like reach inward and say, you know, damn, this sucks. How am I gonna navigate this one? Or like, really just journal everything out and say, what can I change? What is holding me? What is holding me back? It's like the question. And, you know, cut those ties, even if it sucks. Is basically it. Like, and then if you need to push yourself to go to parties more, like I did that first time, and just really make a conscious effort to not take life so seriously, then do it. Find you like someone in your friend group who lives life a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for, like lives life a little bit more on the edge, and say, hey, next time you go out, can I go with you? And start there. You don't have to completely change your life in one day, but baby steps. And you're gonna find that as you continue to do more things, obviously if you have to cut someone off and there's like a big change that needs to be made, that's gonna have a big impact. But if there's nothing really crazy and you say, well, I need to be more outgoing in order to fulfill my life's calling, then doing things like texting your friend and saying, hey, are you going out? Because you know they go out, and going out with them more, getting a drink more, meeting more people through them, taking chances like that, is slowly gonna help you evolve into the person that you want to be. Yeah, so I think it's just the art of not giving a fuck and self-preservation and being the main character that you are, because sis, you're gonna be the villain in somebody's story, so you might as well enjoy life. Like, if you walk on glass, or what is it, walk on, I can't remember what it is, but if you walk, you know, tiptoe around people because you don't want to hurt their feelings your entire life, you're still gonna hurt somebody's feelings, and you're gonna just end life being like, dang, I really didn't do anything. I just people pleased my whole life, so don't do that. But I think that's everything. I wish that I had more to talk about, but I don't know. I hope this episode was a little bit longer, since I did have that life update. Sorry for the dogs being a little rowdy in the beginning. It's Sunday, so they're really excited because Josh is here. But I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know if you are entering your villain era. And if you are, I would love to see pictures, follow you on Instagram, keep up to date on all of your hot girl adventures. And I think that's everything. Don't forget to like, follow, review, or what is it? Subscribe, rate, review. Leave me a rating or a review. It absolutely helps my channel out so much, like astronomically. Follow on well, I lost my train of thought. If you follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or subscribe on YouTube, you can stay up to date on all the fun. You can hear about any upcoming things that I have going on, all new episodes. Maybe I'll do a giveaway. I was thinking about that. Maybe I'll do a giveaway soon. But I'm so close to hitting my listener goal for this month, so I would really help enjoy it if you shared this podcast with anyone that you think would enjoy it as well. Let's build our community of girlies and all reach our version of that girl together. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. I think I already said that. I'm rambling now. I am gonna go ahead and go, but I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday or whatever day of the week you happen to be listening to this. Okay, bye guys. Love you.